Initially, our route skirted the south side of the peninsula, a good low-lying coastal road which was a pleasant and steady cycle. But the road deteriorated, and we were faced with our first mountain pass towards Grundarfjörður.
It's quite highly in the Good Bothy guide.
Does it?
Yeah.
Is there a Good Bothy guide? I didn't know there was.
You'd certainly get maybe a dozen people in here quite comfortably.
So how did you find the pass?
I took a right at Olsvik and headed straight on up the hill. And,
Are you knackered?
Reasonably so.
What about you, Graham?
Oh, it's a doddle. It was quite easy. Compared to other passes we'll be doing, this was really, really easy.
You mean there's worse than that? No way.
Compared to one of the climbs we did last year, this was pretty straightforward.
Well, the weather was okay.
Yeah. Well, the weather was actually quite helpful. It was a really welcome cool breeze.
Yeah. Just my shorts.
I was now becoming increasingly aware that this challenge was going to be, well, challenging. As I settled down for a second night's sleep at Grundarfjörður, I dreamt of Maggie's Highland back in Inverness. I met a remarkable man called Bill Gregory, a Londoner who, after retiring from many years' service with the BBC and sadly becoming a widower, decided to make a new life for himself in Scotland. Bill is clear proof that it is possible to live well through some of the worst afflictions that life can throw at humanity. He is both positive and active. He attends regular sessions at a local gym, is a keen ballroom dancer, and is clearly glowing with contentment. His example is impressive to say the least.
And then I decided that I'd come up and move up. In fact, when I told my sister-in-law I was going to move up to Scotland, she didn't believe me, because I told her the Christmas before I moved up. I said, well, I'm going to sell my house and move up. Anyway, when I got home, she phoned me, she said, you weren't serious, were you? I said, of course I was. You know?
But you've had no regrets?
No, I've never regretted it. No. In fact, I don't like being away from the place very long, you know. And so I just, I went down and saw my brother last year, and I hadn't been down for years. I just stayed down for a week and then I had to get back because, I mean, there's so many things I do up here and I'm involved with. I was involved in the Maggie Centre, for instance.
Yeah.
That was my first year I was a volunteer.
So you're a volunteer here now?
Yeah, well what happened was, as I say, I was having treatment and I came over.
When did the illness begin? When did you...
Well, it was in 2005 I had treatment. I mean, I was diagnosed in 2004 with cancer. But as I said, that year I had a heart attack in February, the stroke in April, and in May they diagnosed cancer. Because I remember seeing a consultant after I'd been diagnosed with cancer. Dr. Stephen it was. He treated me for both the heart attack and the stroke. And so anyway, I was at the clinic one day, you know, it was my usual checkup. And I said to him, you know, we were talking, so I said to him, well, I said, I've had a heart attack, as you know, I've had a stroke, as you know. I said, and now they diagnosed cancer. I was on tablets first, and then they put me on injections. Solidex was the injection every 3 months. And so the following, I think it was February, March, I think they started. Well, I'd seen the consultant, they did a CT scan and whatever, and then they recommended. They don't tell you you should have it. They just say, if you have radiotherapy, it will kill the growth, because it's cancerous. But if you can stay on the injections, but all it would do, it would keep the cancer from spreading and from growing, but it won't get rid of it. So the consultant, Dr. Willis, he said, it's up to you which you have. So I said, well, if it's going to get rid of the growth, then I'll have the radiotherapy. So then you go through the tests and whatever, and the points they're going to pump the X-ray or the equipment at, to kill it. And then I had 6.5 weeks of radiotherapy, and it's 5 days a week, no weekend, your weekend.
How do you feel when you get told that you've got cancer? I mean, how did you feel after a stroke and a heart attack?
Well, the thing was, I thought myself, the worst thing I think I had was the stroke.
Yeah.
And I thought myself, if I can survive that, because I mean that was horrendous as far as my...
Physically speaking, it must have been horrendous.
It was horrendous. I mean, and that's why I thought myself, well, if I can survive the stroke, I can survive the cancer.
I suppose since prostate cancer, you don't often feel pain. I mean,
no, I mean, as I say,
it's a psychological impact of being told you've got cancer.
As I say, the stroke was really. I mean, and the thing was, I don't know whether it was the fact that my brother, he'd been diagnosed. He's a year and a bit older than me, and he'd been diagnosed with cancer. But the thing was, and prostate cancer as well, because they do say it can be family.
Was is your brother still alive?
Oh yeah. Well, the thing was about he had prostate cancer, but they didn't give him any treatment at all.
Right.
They kept an eye on it. It's that you see the consultant every 2 or 3 months, and they said, we're not going to treat it yet, we're just going to see how it goes. Well, believe it or not, about a year after he was diagnosed with it, he saw the consultant, it'd gone.
Right.
No treatment at all, not injections or anything. And but anyway, with me it was, they did, with the scans they did feel that it was, I've got to get rid of it, And so, I mean, as I say, I didn't feel nowhere near as...
you didn't feel alarm or...
No, I mean, to me it was just, I mean, I'm not being blasé about it, but it just felt myself, the stroke was the most horrendous thing, and I thought, if I can survive that, I can survive it.
So maybe having, gone through that, maybe that sort of armed you slightly for what was...
Well, I think that's what it did. It prepared me for something that was going to be far worse, in as much as it's more life-threatening.
Yeah.
Well, as I say, that was the perception I had of cancer then, was the fact that you're dead, A lot of people do feel that.
So, the second day of our expedition.
Day 2.
Any comments,
yes.
Mr. Cameron?
Well, let me see from our map. We're here. Jerry, so we're here. Our objective, get to Jerry and shoot him. Get back to dear old Blighty.
Yes.
As the challenge was progressing, the mental strains were rapidly becoming evident. Kenny was convinced he was a British Army captain. Graham was developing an obsession with his unsettled stomach. And I was convinced there were trolls watching over us from the hills. But rock formations in Iceland tend to have that effect on people.
Third day, about to begin. Captain Cameron, what are your comments?
The sun is shining today, as we expected. Beautiful summer's morning. 2.5 days without a town or a shop coming up, so we're well stocked up. Chocolate, slugs, lots of grass.
Plenty of protein and energy.
Stomachs are bearing up quite well, reasonably.
Apart from Graham's, his stomach is not bearing up.